decent start to the weekend coming up, hopefully, but unfortunately there's some problems with that forecast for any outdoor activities coming up. For right now, I think we're going to be doing pretty good into the course of the near future, showing a very nice Thursday coming up, and then also the possibility of maybe some nicer weather on the other side of this forecast, which is going to be probably about this time next week. So we don't have much to show you in the way of concerns for major problems. We have no severe weather in the forecast. That's good news, but there will be the potential of some problems out there where we get into the next several days with, again, outdoor activities. So keep it tuned to News 12. We'll keep you updated on what's going on. If you got questions on Twitch and YouTube, please drop them into the chat functions, and we'll be glad to answer what we can as much as possible. If you've never tuned in here before, Weather Overtime, this is from News 12 in downtown Chattanooga, Tennessee. We cover parts of the southeastern United States, south and east of Nashville, north and west of Atlanta. We'll show you a map coming up here in just a little bit. But if you got questions, email address aonic@wdef.com if you'd like to find out more about what's going on there. In the meantime, again, we have not that much happening at this point. We do have the potential of some storms coming up, but beyond that, again, things are really not looking all that powerful. So hopefully, again, everything continues to hold into the weekend. We'll talk more about that in just a little bit. Almanac page for the day, 85, the high temperature. Turn that around, and you've got the low temperature of the day, 58, which was pretty close to the normal, almost a category above normal, and came within 5 degrees of a record high temperature. So we did manage to get pretty toasty out there. We finished up April on a dry note. We have started off May on a dry note. We did get some rainfall out there, and that did help us out, but unfortunately not that much. 2 and almost a half inches behind for the year, so we could use a lot more rainfall. We're not exactly in drought status yet, but we could use some more help on that if at all possible, but that may be several days away. We'll see how well that goes into the next several days. Thanks a lot to our viewers for sending in some great pictures, no less than today on the Hiwassee River. Kayak fishing, thank you very much, Sean Deaton from Charleston, for a beautiful view on a nearly glass-like Hiwassee River. Thank you very much for that picture. If you've got pictures to share, please send them in to us at pictures@wdef.com, or drop them to the comments section of our social media pages, or go to wdef.com/photos, where you can ship your pictures to us and see what everybody else has been sending in. So a great opportunity to get your picture in line for being the Langley Roofing weather window picture of the day. Going to be seeing some nice conditions, but warm into tomorrow. High temperatures for anything outdoors are going to be pretty warm, pushing 90 degrees. Winds out of the northeast, fairly light, and an occasional wind gust, but we're not looking at a lot of wind anytime soon. So again, quiet and dry for tomorrow. Friday and into Saturday, probably not going to be able to say the same thing for the time being, so not really seeing a great opportunity there for outdoor stuff starting Friday afternoon. Temperatures, cooling off a little bit east of Chattanooga, back in the lower to mid 60s, upper 60s to lower 70s throughout much of the Tennessee River Valley. Pleasant, dry. It's a nice evening out there and should continue to be so. Likewise throughout the southeastern United States, still in the 80s back toward Greenville and Mississippi, 60s, lower 70s, Carolinas, Virginias, very much on the mild side. Excellent conditions across much of the region, so not seeing a big change, at least for right now. Now, we will be seeing the potential for some areas of showers and thunderstorms back to our west. A little bit of activity, remnant activity from Missouri, Arkansas. A little bit more showers and thunderstorms, Oklahoma, Texas, and back into Kansas. Some pretty nasty thunderstorms in the last couple of days up around my home stomping territory into around Topeka, Kansas, but otherwise we're not seeing a great deal of major concerns for right now. Downtown, looking out toward Lookout Mountain in the distance, a few areas of haze, but otherwise not really looking at too much of any concern. Looking at Lookout Mountain from the peak of the area around Lee Point, Lookout Mountain off this direction and looking back toward the area of bright star Sirius, and you can just barely see the 3 stars in Orion's belt as that constellation sinks on down to the south and to the east. Checking out I-24 traffic through downtown on the Patriot Concrete camera, everything moving along quite nicely. No problems with any slowdowns for tonight. Some pretty heavy traffic at 2475 South Central Chattanooga. Tomahawk Crane and Rigging camera, again, very much on the quiet side for now. Everything moving along quite nicely. The construction areas into and around the Chattanooga Zoo, right around the carousel area, lit up pretty nicely, and looking across the street from the railroad tracks there. Quiet traffic moving along pretty well at this time. And again, not too much of a concern. Lots of people out and about on the Chattanooga Theater Center camera, brought to you by Speedy's Total Car Care. And not too many folks out for tonight, but we do have, again, some folks here and there. It's a beautiful evening to get out and take a walk, so not seeing a problem there. Temperatures back in the lower 70s at the airport, and calm winds for now. And the winds should remain quiet overnight, so not really seeing too much of anything in the way of a major concern again for this evening. We do have some good news for the area where it comes to fires. We are not seeing anything in the way of major amounts of fires, but all these red dots from the Visible Infrared Imaging Radiometer suite are showing new wildfires being detected from space. They're not major ones, but they are still being detected with the temperature that can be detected from space from these satellites that can show us where these red dots, where these new fires are popping up. Now, we did have, again, some lower amounts of air quality across portions of the area. Looks like I misplaced that graphic again. Sorry about that. We'll bring that to you as soon as I can find that. But from earlier, we did have a decent amount of some at least cleaner air taking place. Still not seeing that. I apologize. I thought I had that up here someplace, but I guess not. We'll continue to see some very dry conditions. There we go. So for today and the last couple of hours, the worst air quality still up around Monroe County, around the 4075 junction west of Knoxville. But otherwise, things are much improved from what they were about 2 to 3 days ago. In fact, the worst that we had at this time, for anybody with allergy suffering going on, is the tree pollen. According to the Chattanooga Allergy Clinic, that is pretty much maxed out at this time. So the trees sending out pollen by the bushel, by the ton, whatever you measure pollen in out there, parts per million maybe. Mold is a second and the moderate category. And earlier today, ozone was a little bit on the higher side, but only in the moderate category. We were back in the green quality for the rest of the afternoon. So at the peak of daytime heating, when the atmosphere is stirred up enough, we did not get anything even close to a code orange, but we are still seeing some degraded air quality with all that pollen out there. So that's going to continue until we get the next round of showers and thunderstorms to come on through. So next question after that, when is the next chance we're going to be getting? High pressure remains in control over the Virginias and Northwest Carolinas. Our next storm system heading our way, warm front here, warm air coming in from off the Gulf of Mexico. This whole system is moving back toward our direction, and that is going to continue to see the potential of some very toasty conditions again into the next few days. But as this system moves out of the Rockies and across the plains, that will skirt northwest of us, going northeast, but we will see the potential for some stronger showers and thunderstorms out there. Now, let's go ahead and time things out real quick. Again, if you're just joining us, welcome to Weather Overtime on Twitch and YouTube. Time is 10 o'clock Eastern exactly. We're on most nights at 9:45 Eastern, so thanks for joining us there. High pressure remains in control tomorrow morning. Temperature is pretty mild. Few clouds, mostly sunshine. I think temperatures will do a pretty good job of pushing the upper 80s into tomorrow. Now, Thursday afternoon into Friday morning, that's where that warm front approaches, and that gives us the potential of seeing some much more less some less cool temperatures, and that will give us again some pretty unfrosty conditions, to say the least. Now, by Friday afternoon, we'll start to see better chances of showers and thunderstorms than we would on Friday morning. Overnight into around News 12 and 11 on Friday, and then into early Saturday morning. That is where we see that potential of more showers and thunderstorms. Widespread chances of showers and thunderstorms throughout the day on Saturday, and then into Saturday night, a few of them out there. And then that storm system's energy passes north of us and does not really bother us too much into Sunday afternoon. We do see some more sunshine. We see some warmer conditions out there. Mid 80s for us, high 80s down to the south, maybe even pushing 90 down toward the Gulf Coast. And then the second part of that system, that stationary front, starts to slowly kind of wander toward us. So we'll see better chances of thunderstorms after the weekend into next week, off and on. I don't think it's going to be a washout. What I do think is that if you are at a school, teacher, administrator, anybody in the way of a volunteer, keeping an eye on the weather next week will be imperative. We're not talking about severe weather for now, but what we are talking about is more scattered activity like this, to where if you're keeping an eye on the sky for those field day events coming up that leading from testing to the end of school, a lot of outdoor education and activities going on. If you've got the ability to keep an eye on things, remember, if you can see lightning or hear thunder, you are within range of getting struck by lightning. So if you see lightning or hear thunder, it's time to wrap things up and get back indoors again. If you see possibilities of severe weather on News 12, if you check out our radar information on our app, that also is available. You can go to our website down beneath here at wdef.com/weather for more. But again, next week, I don't think it's going to be a complete and total deluge, but it is going to be salt and pepper scattered enough chances of rain and thunder to where that could cause a problem with outdoor activities. So please keep that in mind if you're going to be doing anything outdoors next week. The chances of, again, getting struck by lightning as opposed to winning the lottery, technically very small, but again, let's not risk it. Let's make certain everybody stays safe. So it's definitely worth the effort of keeping an eye on what's going on and to make certain that you know what is happening before a storm gets too close to you. So it's time to pay attention next week, time to be weather aware. It's a very good hashtag to pass along. We're also seeing some very mild temperatures coming up into next week. Going to be seeing some very warm numbers through next week into the middle part of May. So starting off to be a warm one for May Day. Happy May Day, by the way. And temperatures, again, that was a celebration of the holiday, not a call for help. And that also looks, again, for some very dry numbers out there. So for the next couple of days, again, we've got Orion sinking in the west and Sylvester the Spider doing his job of keeping the mosquito population around Lake Chickamauga to a very low level. Island Cove Marina and Resort on Lake Chickamauga, beautiful conditions for now, and not seeing any problems at this point for anything involving visibility. The warmer temperatures, again, tomorrow with the sunshine, some areas could be pushing 90 degrees. I don't think that's going to be for everybody. There's also the possibility of some patchy fog into tomorrow morning, so keep that in mind. Keep it tuned to News 12 for Chip Chapman's forecast bright and early on Thursday morning. Isolated chances of showers and thunderstorms on Friday, more widespread activity on Saturday, more isolated activity on Sunday, heavier widespread activity on Monday, and then isolated stuff on Tuesday before we catch a bit of a break coming up on Wednesday. So it's going to be, again, that kind of up and down possibilities of thunderstorms, but from Friday through Tuesday, there is going to be a possibility each day of something involving lightning, thunderstorms, rain, maybe some gusty winds at times, maybe some small hail. But again, so far, the Storm Prediction Center does not have any possibility of severe weather coming our direction. So that in and of itself is good news. We'll keep our eyes on that, so keep it tuned to News 12 for more information. As always, if you'd like to keep up to date with our forecasts, website down below, wdef.com/weather. Stay tuned again for more on that. Want to bring you up to date on this. There are several times during the year when several different agencies have what are called awareness weeks or preparedness weeks. Hurricane Awareness Week, Hurricane Preparedness Week is coming up starting, I believe, this Sunday, and it goes all through next week. So why are we telling you about this if we are not in the News 12 viewing area located near a coastline or where the ocean could really directly affect us? Actually, it can, because leftover storms, if they're strong enough and they choose the right path, they can be very strong when they arrive. When I was back in Memphis, leftover Hurricane Cindy made its way up the Mississippi Valley and was a tropical storm almost all the way up between Jackson and Oxford, Mississippi. So it got very close to us as a tropical storm. It was very well fed by warm ocean waters off the Gulf. So it is important to keep an eye on what's going on as that storm heads one particular direction or another. But it is also exceptionally important to be able to make certain that you keep an eye on what's going on, whether you're in the News 12 viewing area in southeast Tennessee, northwest Georgia, or northeast Alabama and western North Carolina, or if you are planning on taking a trip to areas that are more hurricane prone. Anything on the East Coast, from Brownsville, Texas to the Florida Keys, from Miami all the way up the East Coast to southeastern Canada. If there is going to be if you're heading into an area where a storm might be heading towards in that forecast cone, and you've got about a week or so to plan and to maybe turn around and find another place to go on vacation, you do not want to be heading into an area where a rapidly strengthening storm system in that possible forecast cone is going to be ruining your vacation, and you're just going to have to turn around and evacuate anyway, because when the authorities say it's time to evacuate, it's time to evacuate. So it's time to get out of the way of the storm. And as comedian Ron White has always said, it doesn't matter if the wind is blowing, it matters what the wind is blowing. And in these hurricanes, you can get hundreds of square miles of debris just floating around in the wind, causing damage, causing backups on roadways, causing backups in ditches and water levels and flooding. So this is not a great place to get stuck in the middle of a hurricane. Even in a Category 1 storm, it's not an ideal place to be. You may go one place, you get stuck there by the storm. You may be there for the next couple of weeks because you won't be able to get out of an area that is basically blocked off thanks to debris, flooding, everything else. So something to consider. Definitely a page to take a look at. And if you'd like to know more, NOAA.gov, that's the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA.gov/hurricane-PREP. So if you'd like to know more, again, these topics will be covered all through next week about safety, about storm forecasting, about heeding evacuation orders, about getting prepared before a storm actually heads your direction. We'll bring you more about those topics next week. We got a lot to talk about, so keep it tuned to News 12, and we'll let you know more about what may be heading your direction or what may not be heading your direction. It just kind of all depends on things like that. So stay tuned to News 12. We got a lot to take care of right there. All right, so taking a look at our weather poll of the day. Thank you very much, friendinroofing.com, for being our sponsor for this page. If you and your business would like to be a sponsor for, again, any of the other pages that we have, please contact our sales staff, and they'll be glad to chat with you about setting up some pricing, etc. So what city in Alabama gets the most tornadoes? I suspect the popular answer for today, which won the poll, 42%, Tuscaloosa, was because of those storms that moved through back in 2011. But that's not actually the case. The actual winner of the poll and the correct answer is Mobile, which, because they get leftover hurricanes or just hurricanes that strike full force, those things can contain multiple tornadoes. And so southern Alabama, Mobile, picks up the lion's share of tornadoes for the state of Alabama. That's our friendinroofing.com weather poll question of the day. If you see our polls on there, use the handy-dandy QR code to get there, or just go to our website at wdef.com/vote now. We'd love to have you take part in our polls. It's very easy. Great opportunity to see more there. Next couple of days, nothing going on, but the temperatures of the Gulf, the Caribbean, and the Atlantic are so warm right now. It's about as warm as it is in mid to late July. In May. That's scary enough as it is. We also had a disturbance last week. It was out in mid-ocean, but there was a less than 40% chance of that developing into something 2 months before hurricane season even begins. That's why we need to pay attention to things like climate change and the fact that the oceans are absorbing all the extra heat of the atmosphere, which is being heated up by human-caused fossil fuel. So something to think about there. And again, we'll keep you updated on what may be heading our direction. But for right now, it is very much on the quiet side, so no major problems for the time being. Low temperatures overnight. Again, quick check of the forecast into the morning hours. We are back into the lower to mid 50s. Mont Eagle probably won't get below about 60 degrees. So definitely want to be a little bit on the cooler side for the bus stop, but otherwise not seeing, again, a major problem out there for now. Think that should just about do it. We've been on here for a good 20 minutes, and that's a good amount of time for us into this evening. We usually, again, try to be on at about 9:45, so if you have any questions regarding what's going on with the weather, we'd love to be able to keep an eye on that for you. And if we don't know the answer to a question, we'll get you to some place that you might be able to find the answers to. This is our opportunity to chit-chat about weather. 20 minutes, 30 minutes about talking about weather. This is a really cool opportunity for the viewers to connect with us, the audience to be able to ask questions as per necessary. So if you have questions, please let us know. If there's anything, again, we can do on the forecast side of things, definitely want to let us know a little bit more about that. So again, this is our opportunity to let you know a little bit more about what's happening in an extended chat format and tons of information, again, to give to you here. So for tonight, the 1st of May, that should do it. And again, replays of this video weather blog available at wdef.com/weather. I'm on all of these social media channels, so go ahead and stop by and chat. I'm still trying to get on Facebook. Facebook's IT department is listening. I've submitted my IDs. I've given you all the information I can. I still don't know what it is you're looking for in regards to verifying who I am, but the system that you seem to be using is a little confusing and a little frustrating, to say the least. So be glad to get back on Facebook one of these days if Facebook would actually let me. So if there's anybody there who's listening to this, would please love to know a little bit more about how I can get back onto Facebook, as well as getting my updated forecast and everything taken care of. So hopefully some good news on that at some point. So for Wednesday night, May 1st, I'm Chief Meteorologist Austin Onig. Chip Chapman will have your forecast bright and early coming up tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. Eastern, so stay tuned for that. And again, more details on your forecast always available at wdef.com/weather. Email me again at aonic@wdef.com. And again, thanks for joining us for Weather Overtime for Wednesday, May 1st. We'll have more details later. Stay tuned for details again coming up on